The last one is make an ask. So connect self-interest to work, right? So how does the work intersect with their interest? So if we're working on something, just like this mother told me about their fear of their son, of her son, the first thing I asked is how can we fight that back, right? Do you understand the power that we have as communities? We sometimes forget. One example is that once I asked a group of mothers, mostly immigrant mothers from Central America, to describe power to me. You know what they did? Is that power for them was mostly a bunch of male figures. So they describe and name people in their community that had a lot of power. And I was shocked by it because it's not the same understanding I had of power. So we started having a conversation about what power was and what power meant. So how do we intersect the work with their self-interest? It's the best way to go about it, and not just to trying to take down things. The second thing is carry 3 asks in your pocket. So remember, I always say I always carry 3 asks in my pocket. It's usually having options. So I usually say, can you come to this thing? Can you host this thing? Can you volunteer in this thing? Okay? So those are usually the 3 asks that I have in my pocket. So if I ran into you in the streets in Phoenix and you say, hey, Luis, how are you? I'm here for 2 weeks. How can I help? I'm going to pull out one of those 3 asks and ask you in order that are of importance. Okay? So for example, I have a training this Saturday called Black Students Matter, that it's about the rights of African American students in schools. So I need more people to show up to this training. So my first ask might be, can you come to this training? The second ask might be, can you connect me with people who can come to this training? And if you're really excited, I'm going to say, can you come and volunteer for the training as well, right? I always have options in my pocket. Always have options. And I always have 3 asks to make. Give options, but don't be rigid. If the person says, I don't have anything on those 3 things, I'm not available, ask the person, what can you do? I had a one-on-one about 5 months ago where the person told me, no, I can't participate, I can't do this, but I run a small youth theater group. What if I produce a theater show about this? And I said, all right, let's talk about it. Well, the theater show is being produced and it's coming out in March. And it's going to be about the work that I'm doing on the campaign to eliminate injustices in the education system. That's why you have to be flexible. There are talents out there that we're not utilizing. I always say, if campaigns are not engaging artists, we're not actually running a campaign. The last one is be direct on the ask. So make sure that you ask directly. Explain what you're working on. Why is this important? Why is it important that they get involved? And why is it important now? When Goyo and I had a one-on-one, he said that they were working on a campaign to make sure that the workers of the cafeteria had a living wage. He said that that was important because so many of them had families, and they were sometimes the only breadwinners, and they couldn't actually afford to have a proper life. He said that it was important that I got involved because I spoke Spanish and I could actually connect with the workers better than a lot of the other volunteers on the campaign. And finally, he said, we're having a meeting with the school president who we've been asking for a meeting for months. This is the first time he gave us a meeting. It's a very important meeting. Can you come? All of those things together made it super urgent for me to show up. So every time you're going to make an ask, think about these things to make an ask. By the way, does the ask of your friends, ask of your volunteers, ask of your people you want to get involved? This framework helps on everything from fundraising to making asks about campaign. Finally, just ask. Goyo said, can you come on Wednesday to the meeting with the president at 6 p.m.? I said yes, right? He didn't say, maybe I was thinking that if you could, maybe we're available, you could probably come. No. That's like what we call a soft ask. A hard ask is direct. Can you come on Wednesday at 6 p.m. To the meeting with the president? A soft ask would be, maybe I was thinking that if you were available on on Wednesday at 6, maybe you could come. Are you available? That's not a hard ask, all right? And we'll practice that in a little bit. We're going to see the example of the video, which is the shortest part, and then we're going to practice this.
I've actually gotten involved with Boston Educators for Social Justice because they're doing a lot of the work, like it sounds what was happening in Philly, trying to really get students the support that they need. So we actually are having this big training for our group on Friday, November 10th at 6 p.m. I think it sounds like it's something you would really enjoy, Jeff. Do you think you'd be able to make it that Friday?
That sounds interesting, but I'm really busy with school right now. I have papers, I have to study. I don't really have the time right now.
The meeting we're having on Friday is actually about cuts that have been made to 2 specific schools. And I think you could contribute a lot to the conversation because of this interest that you bring. And I'm actually driving there, so I could pick you up on the way to the meeting. I'll be driving right by campus. And I have your phone number. I could just text you and scoop you up on my way. Does that sound okay?
It seems like this problem is really happening everywhere. So I feel like I should get involved and do something about it. And if you could give me a ride, that would make it a lot easier for me. So, yeah.
Wow, that was easy. So, one thing that I love about this example is that she didn't let go, right? She was like, okay, let's do this, right? A very good thing is that she make an ask directly. How did she make an ask? Can anybody remembers? How was the ask made? What did she say? Anybody remembers? What did she say? No?
We're having a meeting, can you come?
We're having a meeting, can you come? That was simple, right? We're having a meeting on Wednesday, can you come, right? So it was a very direct ask. He didn't say like, maybe you could, right? One thing that I would say is that he said no because he was busy, right? So that meant not now, right? So he said, I would like to get involved, I'm interested, but not now. She was aggressive. She was like, well, I'll pick you up and I'll text you, right? Which worked. Sometimes it doesn't. And if he would have said no, but he was interested, he said not now, right? Not right now. Then the question would have been then when, right? So if you can't come to Wednesday, can you come to the next thing? Or can I call you on the next activity? So that is where we talk about urgency. So the first thing about urgency is how you see the problem. She talked about the cuts, the budget cuts that they were making, right? In the school system and why that was important. What are you doing about it? She said they were showing up, doing a training, and they were having a series of conversations about how they were going to act on that. In your case, when you're working on an issue, be immigration, education, healthcare, housing, whatever that issue, talk about what are you doing about that problem. The third thing is, why is this important? So she said that it needed to happen immediately. One thing that I would add if I was her, I would say why this work is important to the community, right, that we're working with. Why they should get involved is the fourth thing. So she didn't actually say something like, you are someone who has been involved in education for a long time. I would love you to participate, right? So didn't give a reason to the person. That is a very important thing to do. Give a person a reason. The reason they invited me and turned me out for the meeting that changed my life was because I spoke Spanish, right? So that was very valuable. The last one is why now? If you don't instill urgency, you need to in your statement. What I mean by that is not the classic, if it's not now, then when. That doesn't work. It has to actually happen in a specific timeline. We're doing this, for example, we're doing this Black Students Matter training on Saturday because after that, we're going to be showing up at the legislature to present a Bill of Rights for Black students. That is why we need to have this training on Saturday, right? That is exactly the urgency of why this Saturday matters, right? Why we need to show up for this. This is the structure that I always call the HWs. How, what, why them, and why now, right? The answers to a question, to an ask, are usually 3, okay? Yes. Who likes when people say yes? All of us, right? Who likes when people say maybe? I hate maybes. They are my worst enemy. Maybes, we don't like maybes, okay? Never. Maybes make us lose our time. Make us waste our time because people right now in this society, we actually are trained to not say no. We cannot say no. So we usually say maybe instead of no. And guess what? As an organizer, I might be like, oh, okay, that's a maybe. So I have 26 maybes, 4 yeses, and 40 no's, right? Or sometimes 3 no's. I always say the maybes are worse than the no. So what I try to say is to take a person to a yes or a no. I actually tell people sometimes that. Look, maybes don't help me much. Can you just tell me, are you interested in coming? That's it. And the person sometimes says, yeah, I'm interested, but it's just that I can't do it right now. Great. That is a better answer, right? To tell the person no. If a person says no, they usually mean one of 3 things. Not now, which means No, I can't do that right now, right? So what is the answer that we should give if they say not now?
When?
Then when, right? So not now. The second one is not that. So if I said, see, if Goyo asked me to show up to the president's meeting, and that was overwhelming for me, oh my God, the president of the university. Oh, what if they kick me out of the school, right? What if I said no? No, I'm busy, maybe no, right? Because I can't. And what if Goyo said, why not? And I said, well, I'm scared of showing up because I might get kicked out of the university. Well, that means not that, right? But I'm still interested. So what would you say if I said not that?
Then what?
Then what, right? So can you come to this other thing, right? And the third one is not ever. I love not evers, by the way. I love them more than I love maybes. Because when someone says not ever, I'm not interested, I'm not going to waste my time there anymore, okay? I'm going to move on to the next thing.